If we look at a place like the Grand Canyon, and we know that the rocks at the top are new and the rocks at the bottom are old. And that's called relative dating, right? We know a baby is new and an old man like me is old. So all we do is put them in order. You guys are in the middle, teenagers. We don't care the actual age. We don't care if it's 2 million, 3 million, 4 million. Who cares? It's old or young. That's it. So here's how it works. We know that rocks normally get put down in layers and they're flat. But what happens if the earth crinkles them? Right? We know that some of them get folded. They look like a smile or a frown. Sometimes it gets cracked and it gets a big split down the middle. And then they don't line up the same way. Well, as I just said, we can look at these and say if it's on the top, it is new. So number 5 is young. And then number 4, 3, 2, 1. The one on the bottom is the old one. That's the first rule you got to know. Whatever's on the bottom. If we have a fault, a crack, or we have something that goes across, that is young, right? If I have A, B, and C, which one is the oldest? A, B, and C, which one is the oldest? It's C, because it's on the bottom, and B goes on the top, and A goes on top of that. We just stack them up. It's like a puzzle. Here we see a fault. Well, I think of cookies. If you're going to make cookies, you take the dough and you roll out the dough. And then you take the little cutter, the shapes, and you cut out the cookies. Can you cut the cookies before you have the dough? No, because you just cut the table. You got to have the dough first. And that's how these work. You got to have the rocks, then you can cut them. So the cut is new and the rocks are old. Sometimes we know the earth erases things. It wipes them out and moves them away. So sometimes we see where rock layers are gone or missing. That's called erosion, where they disappear. Now I want you to try one of these. Can we put the events or the rocks in order? So we see this over here. How did this form? Well, the first thing that happened is we had to have rock layers. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then something came in and cut them or erased them. So that's the erosion, where it disappears. And then look what happens. 3 and 4 are gone. Even 5 is gone. But then new layers came in, and we have 6 and 7. So it's like somebody took a book, a history book, and they took the 2000s and they just tore them out. So we went from 1999 to 2010. We lost a whole middle section of the book. Okay, look at this one. The first thing that has to happen in any of these puzzles is that we have layers. The layers got put up. And then, look what happened to those layers. They got rolled or bumpy or folded. The layers got pushed up. And then look, somebody came in with a big knife and they cut off the top. That's erosion. And that's why the layers are tilted on the bottom. And the last thing that happened, so we got more layers on top and they're flat. They're not curved because they came last. Who can tell me the oldest thing in this picture? A, B, C, D, or E? Which is the oldest? Where do we find the old? The top or the bottom? It's E. E is the oldest at the bottom. Okay, and then the next thing that happened was that C got put on top of E. And the next thing that happened was B got put on top. And then D. D is cutting the cookies, goes across all of them. B, C, and E are the dough. We had to put the dough down first, and then we could cut across it with D. But see how D stops? And that's how we know A on the top is the youngest, happened last. So the correct answer on this one is E, C, B, D, A. A is last.